Hi, I'm Jenny Bobholz, the owner of the Circle, and so I'll just give a little history and then go over the last 2.5 years of my life. The Circle is one of the longest running bars in this community. The Boer family opened it shortly after Prohibition. The current building has been there since the mid-50s, and then I actually started working there in 2008. Worked there for 10 years, 5 of them I was the manager. And then in 2019, January of 2019, I bought the business from Tom and John Boer. One thing that I must say is people tell you all the time, when you buy a business, you realize who your true friends are, who your true supporters are, and that's absolutely true. Then if you add in a pandemic, it's really, really true. So yeah, I've just got random pictures going on. You're going to see some highs and lows of the last 2.5 years. But basically, I was, like I said, I worked there for 10 years. I was the manager for 5. I truly naively walked in thinking like, I got this, I was their right-hand lady. I knew I knew it was going to be a little more work, but slowly after a month realized, oh my God, what have I bitten up? End of 2019, kind of slowly getting my groove, realized that your busiest months, November, December, also are your most expensive months. So went into 2020 in a really not great position, had to take out a little bit more of a loan. But I paid off the business that first year. So that was like a huge thing. I was like, all right, we're going into 2020. It's gonna be great. And then March hit. And everything changed, obviously, as we all know. So as far as not only for the business, being told to shut down, my daughter, who at the time was in third grade. Yeah, third grade. So she was home. My husband works for the city of Mankato. He was home 2 weeks, would work 1 week, whatever. We were spending more time home than we've ever had before. And it was just crazy. Our saving grace was that we had an off-sale license, and so I fell back on that. We started right before like the lockdown. We were able to do off sales when everyone thought truly the world was ending. They were buying cases of alcohol. I was actually having to put in orders, and I was like, oh my God, we might be okay. Selling frozen pizzas like crazy, and then everything came to a screeching halt. There was kind of a month where it was in limbo of where our business fit in because we didn't have a kitchen. And it was up in the air on if off sale was considered like a liquor store essential. And so it took a lot of digging and figuring out. So what we did figure out that we could do was fall back again on our off sale. But then I was approached by a Cisco rep, which again, we never had. I have like pizzas that come from Hermel. That's all that I have. And so Cisco approached me and they said, hey, we've got all this restaurant quality food that isn't being used. At that time, the restaurants still were closed or just doing those that wanted to do curbside. And I said, whatever, let's give it a shot. So the first sale, people didn't really get it. We tried doing these phone-in orders. And I was like, this just doesn't work for my customers. My customers very much follow us on social media. That's a huge thing for us. And I just said, I think if we just post it on there, blind faith that they're going to pay for it when they pick it up. So that was scary too. And they're like, I don't know if you should do that. I'm like, yeah, but my customers, I think they're going to be okay with it. We're still doing the Cisco sale. It went phenomenally. The whole summer, that's all that we did. Our bar is extremely, extremely small. And with the guidelines that we had to go through, it just wouldn't have worked. There's no way that we would have succeeded. So those Cisco sales 100% saved us. We were able to do 1-day sales and have the sales of a normal, really good Friday, Saturday. So I call that a win during the entire time that we were shut down. And then my daughter would do ice cream sales, and she would donate 50% of all of the sales, her and Nora, her best friend, would do these sales, and we were able to give back to local nonprofits that way too. So that's another thing that the circle has always really wanted to do, and I'm glad that we were able to do that during such a time that we weren't able to have our normal benefits and whatnot. Then again, like I said, with the off sale, we were able during the holiday season when places were fully shut down. We did some craft sales, which Katie has been a huge part of. That was huge. We turned our back room into, we called it our general store. I was selling toilet paper at one point. It got crazy. Looking back, it's insane. There's right there. Yes, this was my back room. We had a liquor store, we had clothing, we had ice cream, we had Cisco products, but then we would do these craft shows, and it would help out these local vendors, and then people would stop in our back room too. And then the huge thing, which became a monster, and we're never getting rid of it, was we did advent calendars. We did a beer one, a seltzer one, a wine one, and a liquor one. And at some point there was a picture of it. That was insane, but that, again, saved us during that holiday season. So I guess what I'm getting at is knowing your customers, knowing what works for you. I've had so many people behind my back or to my face tell me, that's not gonna work. What are you doing? You're insane. But I'm still standing here, so it must
Jenny,
be
are
working.
these the advent calendars?
Yeah, this is just one run of them. So we had, it was insane. Ellie loved her life, and yeah, she was also doing her virtual school during all of this. And I'd be like, hey, let's position it so that there's not liquor bottles. Anyways, okay, so then we got to, then from January, typically January is the worst time for this industry. Like, it's terrible. And it rang true. It once again just, it wasn't great. And so I was like, okay, at some point here we need to start, looking at opening up. But I knew that with the guidelines, and I love my customers dearly, but they don't like to follow the guidelines. They come down to meet each other. And I knew that it was not going to work and that I was going to lose my mind. And that just wouldn't be fun for anyone. And so I was like, okay, we lucked out in February-ish, late February maybe, with decent weather. So we started doing outdoor Saturday things. I bought an insane amount of heaters, and we would have live music and knock it out of the park. And then by 5 o'clock when the sun would go down, they were cold and feeling great. And it'd be like, okay, bye, we're done. And then we'd be done. And now we've gotten to the point that exactly 1 year since St. Patrick's Day, we opened inside. And it's been going great. We are only open Wednesday through Saturday. Just like everybody else, we've been having issues, with staffing, but we know that we can make it work Wednesday through Saturday. We have music every single day that we are open, either in some form of acoustic or big bands. We've been doing, I like to call myself also a party planner. At one point I did do weddings and decided that was not my thing. But so that's what I live for. I love having events and having things going on. And so we're just really trying to do what we can with what we have. And then, you might have heard about it, but so I bought a food truck and was realizing that we still needed, no matter what happened, something else to fall back on. We have the off sale, we have the frozen food sales, but quite frankly, on our end, only having frozen pizzas, we would lose customers to going other places or to go eat, which was fine because that's whatever, but it's also intoxication level. I just wanted something there for people to have. And so originally it was just supposed to be an offshoot of the circle. It's called the Pelican. If you saw an older man that I had a picture, this is the food truck. And then there's a customer of ours right there. Dickie Lyons, some of you might know him, some of you might not. He's a legend in our business, or my business, I should say. And the Pelican came about, he's still alive. People thought that I did this. He passed away, but he's still alive. And when he would eat, he would never get full. And so we got this nickname, the Pelican. And I just love him dearly. And so it's a nod to him. That's what we call the food truck. But what it morphed into is now that it's going all over the place, which is awesome. It just wasn't my original plan, which is also another monster that I'll get to in a second. But what we have figured out how to do is to use those Cisco products so that we're not sitting on a bunch of inventory and we're using what we have and making menus for, say, we were up at WizPack and they wanted to pay for their employees to eat, and we can fit into a certain budget. So we'll do, full pork sandwich, potato salad, plate for that. And then we can do other things where we do burrito bowls. So we kind of are, again, listening to the customer, knowing what they need. If I'm out at Terrace View, you've got kids, but then you've got older men that they don't know what a walking taco is. They want a sandwich. So we play into that. What was I going to get at with that? So, and then when people are like, oh my God, this is so good, it's like, well, you can also get it at Circle in our partial general store that we still have. So as growing pains, what I'm talking about is what now I'm at is still trying to be a mom, still trying to run the Circle, trying to do the Cisco things. This off sale has gotten bigger. The Pelican is becoming its own kind of piece, and truly trying to figure it all out. While my employees are going, "Are you going to send out that schedule yet?" I'm like, yeah, we'll get on that. So I don't have a manager, I don't have a business partner, I don't have a full-time employee at this point. So it's been interesting, to say the least. People are like, how do you do it? I don't. I am a hot mess most days. My daughter is amazing and comes with to everything and is all over the place. And then I try to reward her in some way by doing fun things. But I've learned how to ask for help. There are friends that just step up and help. And I don't feel like I have to pay them or ask them to do things, because that's the other thing. It's, I have staff and they're like, well, why would you ask us to do that? Because you have another job, and I feel bad like making you do not fun, mundane things. But so what I've figured out from still being in the first 5 years of business, going through a pandemic, and I feel like making the best of it, is there some things that I look back and I don't know, but it was crazy times. And I'm excited for everything moving forward, but the pandemic made things very interesting, but also brought out a lot of good things. And I feel like now, no matter what, we're going to have quite a lot to fall back on. So that's the story of me and the past 2.5 years and the Circle in. So yeah, it's just, if you haven't gathered, it's been a roller coaster. So it's crazy. But anyone have any questions?
And again, if you're on via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function and we will have you ask the question.
Yes, that is another thing. So I never had to, people would be like, what do you have for drink options that are gluten-free? But then going into this whole food, yes, I've learned all the things. And and that's the other nice thing too with dealing with the Cisco products, is that I'm able to look up on my phone when somebody asks, and it's right there. So I have sent people ingredient lists, all those things. So yeah, that's been, and we're very conscious now too of making vegetarian options, doing these things. So yes, thank you. Big supporter over there, Karen. So, thank you very much. You've seen all of it. A lot of my customers, employees have seen it like absolute worst, and some of my good times, but yeah. Run around like crazy. Yeah.
Do you have a kitchen in the building, or?
We do not. Only the food truck. So what we make is what we got. Luckily, we have planned pretty well. And we've only ran out like right up until the very end. But yeah, so that's worked out so far. But no, it's all in there. So that adds a whole nother level of things to it. But yeah.
Lindsay had a question.
I was wondering, do you have like multiple stuff? Do you have a page?
Yes, we have a Facebook page. I have yet sometimes I feel like I need to be locked into a room and just like work on stuff, and I do that, and then I work on other things. But I would love to get an Instagram going because I understand that that is huge for other demographics. Like our clientele, we definitely have, well, bar wise, 21 up to literally 87. But you know, I do see the need for like Instagram and stuff. But yes, the Facebook has been going really well. And another thing that grew out of COVID is I would randomly do like Facebook Lives if we very, very rarely when we would have like bands just, you know, sometimes here and there. But then through COVID, we would do these Facebook Lives almost daily, explaining, going over products. Ellie became her own little celebrity, and now it's become like a thing. And people are like, oh my God, to Ellie, you're that girl from the Circle on Facebook Lives. And I'm like, oh, the masses what they want. But anyway, so yeah, so she thinks it's pretty cool and pretty funny. But I've noticed that also just now like really helps. Like people will see certain things that I post, but those lives really do help. So also, I noticed about the noon hour when people seem to really be paying attention. But I've noticed that I never thought that would be such a big thing prior to COVID. I just didn't utilize it that way, I guess. So,
Carrie.
yes.
One of my favorite things that you do is that you so wholeheartedly support everyone else.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
are public about it, but it's genuine. You are 100%. So that is a huge, like, almost like a business model for you because people see how much you support everyone else, so they want to support you. And so I think that is a lesson that we can all take from your experience in the last few years.
well, thank you for making me tear up. But yes, that, I mean, that is, no, I mean, it's the truth. Like, I mean, Katie, for example, like when we would have these vendor shows, okay, so there's like a hot minute where I magically had like more time that I like made signs or whatever, another life. Anyways, but like Katie and all these vendors would be like, well, what are you going to charge? I'm like, I'm not charging anything. Like, it just, to me, I have this like big parking lot, so why don't we use it? Why don't we make the best that we can of it? And if we get some kickback for it, great. But thank you. It's not what it's all about. You know, I mean, and like you're saying with the musicians, like I love live music. And so I have found too that again, because people's habits have changed. And I've noticed, so we have music every night and in some form. And is it cheap? No, it's not at all. Absolutely not. But we also don't have people coming in for dinner. We don't have people, you know, there's not that other draw. So I feel like you need to give people a reason to go out because they're so used to staying at home. Like, quite frankly, they've learned to make what we make at home. So you have to have fun and different things and something to draw them in. So the music has done that. And there's a lot of times that once the music is done, I mean, people scurry. Like, it's just not how it used to be. There isn't people on a Wednesday night, believe it or not, that would stay out until bar closed. That just isn't really happening anymore, for us at least. But you get that draw now during the times that you have the music. So, yeah.
Gary had a question.
Yeah, very quickly. One, applaud you on the pivots and doing whatever it takes. So outstanding, particularly in the food and beverage industry. So glad that you survived through and actually have moments of thriving, which is great. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, you get going, I'm sure you probably look at hiring some people for some of those key things so you don't flame out here and pass it on.
Yeah. The
food truck, I don't know, I haven't seen the food truck, but it would seem to me to have some sort of tagline that they know it's from the Circle Inn.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that on there?
No, at first I was wanting to keep it separate because there was like a whole thing with it. And so I was just trying to not, but now it kind of, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And so, yes. And
the last thing maybe I'm not aware of is take advantage, as we said with Sean, SBDC consulting on marketing. Survive that. There is help there. Utilize that.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Do you serve out now? This is just probably something I don't know about, but do you serve outside of food? do different companies, like they have salespeople coming in from different states or different places?
For the Cisco stuff? Oh, catering. So are you
Do
talking
anything like
for the food truck or for the frozen
No.
food?
outside? Not necessarily the food truck, it's just, an example of that is Panera takes and serves meals to different companies.
Oh, yeah. So with the Cisco stuff, it's all frozen. We don't cook it. So basically it's like a glorified Schwann's man is kind of how I describe myself. So, but what did become a thing was for graduation parties, like people wanting to do, that was huge for Cisco and actually for the Pelican. That people, or like big get-togethers that, because it's restaurant quality, but what we do is we get it in like reasonable for family amounts, but you could also buy a case of it and that could be for a party. So yes, there are ways that that they can be utilized that way. And then yeah, as far as Pelican, so that started, our first event was the end of May. And we are already now booked up every weekend next June for grad parties and possibly having to add in another stuff. So it's good, but it's, yeah, right, it's good. It's like, my husband's like, what have you done? So, sorry, but, yeah, so,
So you will go out.
yeah, oh, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, with that. So that's kind of the nice thing that we've, we'll have kind of like a base menu, but we're able to cater to certain price points and to certain events or businesses also. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jenny. We're coming up on time, so thank you to both Jenny and Sean for presenting today. We really appreciated both of your presentations.